Welcome to Luxon Photography. We spent the holidays over Christmas in Spain, where Anna comes from, and I want to show you some of the images. All together I took about 15,000 images in about 14 days and in general I shoot 1,000 images a day, and most of it is not a photo shoot, it's just memories in the moment. And I thought before I edit the images, I go through section-wise some of the images, and they are all unedited. Straight from the camera, I had with me the Canon 6D Mark II with the 35mm Sigma art lens f1.4. Here I shot at f2.0, so we get a blurry background and yet a little bit more depth into the image. Now, what's the point of this video is I wanted to take some family pictures, and to do this I put the camera on a tripod and I have a remote control here. One is on the camera and one is in my hand, and I push a button and the camera focuses on the face and takes a picture. And what I wanted to try was I wanted to take a look at, can my 1-year-old son take some pictures of us? So I gave him the remote control and he pushes the button and the camera takes a picture. Now, because the camera has face detection, which means it focuses on the face and especially on the eyes, focusing is no more a problem of the user because it nearly always focuses correctly. Now, I'm shooting at f2.0 on a full frame camera, which means I stand very closely to the wall and yet it is out of focus. So we have a shallow depth of field here and yet we are in focus and my son is taking the picture. Now, the black and white images I just edited quickly just to have some images to put on Facebook, but all the other images that you see here are unedited straight from the camera. And I think it's a really wonderful way to take family pictures of you, this is me, this is my girlfriend, and this is our son. And a couple of years ago it was so difficult to get a nice image of you and your family together. It was always stress because just to get you in focus at f2.0 would be difficult, and you never know. Some years ago, is my head actually in the frame? Are we in the frame? You would have to take a picture, then go to the camera, take a look. And with the new technology, which is in the Canon EOS 6D Mark II, Canon EOS R, 5D Mark IV, but 5D Mark IV it's a little bit limited to do this because there's no flip out screen. But on the EOS R and the 6D Mark II, you have the flip out screen. So you see, as we take these images, I can see the final image before I take it, or before Noah takes it, on the screen. And I see, are we actually in the frame? Is the scenery well lit? Is it too bright? Is it too dark? Will we be in focus when Noah pushes the button? And you see the shallow depth of field here. Anna is sharp. Noah's hand is already out of focus. And this is just a couple of centimeters away. So it's actually usually not easy to get 3 people in focus when you take pictures. And I was really happy with the results we got here. And now, of course, the facial expression is not always perfect because none of us know when Noah will push the button. So we cannot look at the camera smiling, 1, 2, 3, take the shot. Noah just pushed it, click, 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 click. And we don't know when the moment clicks. And he doesn't understand that he's actually taking the picture, so he's not always smiling. And here you also see the shallow depth of field. Noah's hand is in focus, and we all are out of focus. It's just a couple of centimeters, and I'm shooting it with the same settings here. Now you might ask, what settings do I use to get images like this? I always shoot manually. I never use auto white balance, I never use auto ISO, I never shoot in aperture priority mode or the shutter speed auto selection. I never do that. I always put everything manually. And here we are in Spain and so it's a sunny day. We are now in the shade, but just to explain how I shoot. I set a low ISO because it's daytime and it's in Spain where there's a lot of sun. I choose ISO 100 or even ISO 50. which is the lowest. I select the aperture, f2.0. Nearly all these images are taken at f2.0. I leave it at that, I don't change it. ISO, I leave it at that, I don't change it. Or I go to ISO 50. And then I just select the shutter speed, that looks fine on the display. And that's it. And now for all the images that we took at this scene, at this moment, I don't change any settings. They are all the same because the light is not changing, we are not changing, so all the images here have the same setting. When I then change position, go to another place where the lighting changes. So here, for example, we shoot into one direction, and here we are at the same place, but we shoot into a different direction. Here we have the sun behind us. It's a little bit different lighting. It's the same place, but I might have to adjust the settings a little bit. ISO 100, f2.0, that stays the same. 1/4000th of a second. Now that's the difference. But now for all the other images you see here, I keep it at the same settings. So I don't have to change settings. I put the settings once in the beginning, and then I leave it as that. To get the nice color, to get warm color, you put the white balance up. Now when I say up, what does it mean? It means I shoot in Kelvin, and the higher the Kelvin value, the warmer the image. So all these images are shot at Kelvin 8000 or higher. If you use auto white balance, your images will be very cold. They will be neutral because auto white balance try to give you a nice white balance for every scene possible. So it will not be too cold and it will not be too warm. It will be very neutral, which for me, for portraiture, often is too cold. I like warm images, especially here in the sun. So I choose a white balance that will give me warm colors, and it will not be auto white balance. It will not be daylight. It will only be a high Kelvin value. If you cannot set the value in Kelvin, choose shade. Then you also have a warm color, but not as warm as you see sometimes with my images. Now here we changed the situation. We're now at a different place. It's the same philosophy. Camera on the tripod, remote control in my hand or into the hand of my 1-year-old son, and our 1-year-old son is taking the pictures of us. And I thought before I will edit the images, I will show you how it looks like straight from the camera. Now the black and white images I just edited very quickly to have some images for Facebook just in black and white. And this is what it looks like, Canon 60 Mark II, Sigma 35mm f1.4 art lens. And I want to make this video because the camera in all the reviews is so negative presented. So there are very few reviews that talk good about this camera, especially the reviews that came out in the beginning when the camera came out. Now the people who use the camera now for longer, for a month or even a year, they mostly are very positive about it, and I feel the same. Now look at this. We are both looking, or I am looking into the screen next to the camera. On the screen I see, are we in focus? I see, is my head actually in the frame? It's a little bit off, but it's totally fine. And there are not many full frame cameras that have such a screen that flips out. So for taking family pictures like this, it was so difficult to get an image like this some years ago. And now it's so easy, even my child can do it. And you might say, well, you know what, that's not so important. But to me, it's super important to have images like this. And these images are not important today because I look like this and my son looks like that. And we don't need actually these images now. But there will be a time when I will no longer look like this and he will be grown and he might ask, how did you look when you were young? Or how did I look when I was young? And then he has these images. And he was the one who took these images at 1 year old. And that is, I think, very beautiful. And the 60 Mark II and the Canon EOS R are until this day, January 2019, the only full-frame cameras who can do this with the flip-out screen. Now you can use other cameras and use a smartphone to see the image. But the remote control costs 25 euros, the battery lasts for years, and it's super easy. You can use a phone, but I cannot give the phone to my son. He couldn't handle it. He needs a physical button that he can push, not a digital display. And it works so well. Just look at the results here. It's done very quickly, very easily, and the autofocus is so reliable no matter which aperture I shoot. I could have shot at f1.4 and I would have gotten very, very similar results. Now here Anna's sister was with us with her child, and I just took some pictures of them both. Here I took the camera into my hand, or maybe Adis was, or she was taking some pictures, but I think I took the camera in my hand, I took pictures, she also took pictures while I wasn't taking pictures. And because you don't have to care about autofocus anymore, the camera handles it so well with the face detection. Autofocus is completely out of the skill set. You know, I do this also with the 85mm lens at f1.2, photographing myself with my son. And I need the flip out screen here to see am I actually in the frame. And the face detection is so more reliable than I am. If I had to take a picture at f1.2, 85mm, I take many pictures where maybe the nose is sharp but not the eye, where maybe the ear is sharp but not the eye. The face detection handles it and it focuses on the eye. Here you see the tripod actually. So here's a tripod that I have. I then put the tripod right here in front of Noah and give him the remote control, and he takes some more pictures of himself. And I think this is a very, very beautiful way, and a very new way that was not possible some years ago. And I could have used other cameras, but I think this 6D Mark II and the EOS R are the easiest way to do this. And even if the face is not actually shown to the camera, if you don't have to look into the camera and it will still focus on you. So here you cannot see Noah's face, you only see bits or pieces of my face, and yet the camera was intelligently enough to get us in focus. And as I said, these are all unedited straight from the camera. I haven't touched them at all, only the black and white images you saw. So the composition wise it's not perfect. You have a lot of headroom here, which means space above the head. Which is not so good, so I will crop these images and I will edit them also color-wise, but I personally think many of these images I could leave as they are, from the color, from the look. I might cut a little bit up here, so we are not so in the bottom of the image, we are more in the center. And here you see now I push the button. And maybe everybody of you who has children, who wants maybe a camera that can take easily images of you and your son, even in different light situations. Now here, look at the sun is going down. It is very difficult actually to focus on a usual camera against the sun. And the 6D Mark II handled really well. I just push the button and the camera takes a picture. And because with the flip out screen, I can see am I in the frame. This is why I knee down. If I did not have the flip out screen, I wouldn't know am I in the frame. But because I have the flip out screen right next to the camera, I see exactly am I in the frame or not. And yeah, that was just a session that we did with the family. It's Anna, it's me, it's my son Noah, and Anna's sister with her kid. Here's another example, what I mean. If we did not have the flip out screen, I would not know if we are actually in the frame or not. If we stood right here, but we stood straight, our heads would not be in the frame. We have to lower ourselves so we are in the frame. And this is what comes out of the camera very easily, very quickly. I set the settings once, then I leave it as that, and that's what you get. Images where I am in the picture was taken by Noah mostly with the remote control, and even a 1-year-old child can take images like this today.